Good, happy Tuesday morning, February 12th, 2019. And today is my birthday. And welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. Let's begin. First up, we begin on the storm watch this morning. Storm moves in for Tuesday evening commute. With more on that, let's go to meteorologist Mike Haddad with a full weather forecast.
Thank you very much for joining us. Stormwatch 9 weather on the web, all about clear skies and winter cold tonight. But by tomorrow afternoon, that's all going to change as this mess of weather moves in our direction. Now, initially, it's cold enough for all snow statewide during tomorrow afternoon and early during the evening. But despite it being downright frigid tonight, well below zero north, single digits near 10, 11, or 12 far south, enough warm air may get into this storm to change the snow over to sleet and freezing rain, especially the farther south you go. So just about a guarantee from Concord south and almost a guarantee as far north as the Lakes region. So here we go with the timeline. Filtered sun gives way to thickening clouds tomorrow morning. By midday to 1 o'clock, some light snow will begin to overspread the Monadnock region, reaching the lower part of the Merrimack Valley sometime likely between 2, 3, 3:30 in the afternoon. So when many schools are beginning to let out, the roads could start to turn a little bit slick from the Queen City up to about Concord. Then, shortly after 3 or 4, that snow will overspread the Lakes region, reaching northern parts of the state by the early to mid-evening. And some of these deeper shades of blue indicate moderate to heavy snow, possibly over an inch per hour. Here comes the trick. Very late Tuesday evening through the pre-dawn hours of Wednesday morning, warm air changes the snow over to sleet and possibly freezing rain, and that line likely makes it up to about the Lakes region. Still about 20 to 30 mile wiggle room here. If it travels a bit farther north, of course, then you go over to a wetter snow and that icy mix cuts down in the amounts just a little bit. If it's a bit more to the south, then you get those high snow totals even as far south as places like Concord and Hooksett and over towards Rochester. But we'll be watching for that mix and possibly a changeover to plain rain right near shore roads early Wednesday morning. All of that mix pulls out of here by 8 or 9 Wednesday morning, but snow will continue throughout the day in northern parts of the state. Best call on snow right now, and keep in mind these bands could shift about 20 to 30 miles north or south, 4 to 8 inches from the coast through the lower part of the Merrimack Valley, point south. I think a lot of these numbers could end up in the 5, 6, 7, maybe even 8-inch range, while to the north, generally 6 to 10 inches of snow with 11s or 12s in the higher terrain of, say, the Lake Sunapee zone, the northern Lakes region, and the White Mountains. And there's your typical shadowed area of some weaker snow because of the winds coming down off of the mountains and drying things up in places like Littleton, Monroe, and the rest of the upper valley to just around Lebanon. Temperatures tomorrow in the 20s. So this will be a light, fluffy snow to start, but then likely turning over to a wetter snow and possibly a wintry mix. You know, we're talking about between tomorrow night and early Wednesday, the consistency of that snow will change and roads will be slick. So it'll allow plenty of extra time to travel. Once we get beyond early on Wednesday, snow continues on and off in the North Country with that wintry mix ending early in southern New Hampshire, even some breaks of sun possible, a partly sunny Valentine's Day, a light mix, snow north, a mix or rain south on Friday. Right now, early call on the weekend is quiet and seasonably chilly.
Okay, and there you go on that weather forecast from meteorologist Mike Haddad. And there are currently 120 closings and delays for today. A lot of schools are releasing this afternoon due to that snow that is coming into New Hampshire. And there is one weather alert. If you want to see both of those things, just go to WMUR.com. And now let's take a look at your traffic and see how your roadways are moving along this Tuesday morning. And here's a look at your traffic on this nice Tuesday morning. We're seeing a lot of green roadways, and we have a yellow spot in the Concord and Bow area. And then if we move down by the Peterborough area, we're seeing some yellow spots along here, down the Peterborough area and towards Milford area. Otherwise, your traffic is moving pretty good on your Tuesday morning. No major issues or delays to report yet, so that is good news. If we get any major issues, we will be sure to bring it to you right here on the Riley King Network. And now let's go to your morning news. First up, New Hampshire DOT crews prepare for a storm that will impact 2 commutes in a row. Let's take a listen to this video from WMUR News 9, Gene Mackin.
Flashing signs over the interstates urge drivers to plan ahead. The DOT says it's a message worth repeating.
Plan ahead. Maybe try to get home a little bit earlier if you can on Tuesday afternoon, and leave yourself more time at both ends.
The DOT says it's gone through 37 of its $57 million snow budget for the season. The melting and refreezing from roller coaster temperatures take extra time and money to treat, with crews in the northern part of the state already logging 7,000 more hours this winter compared to last.
What's a little different about this winter is it started earlier in November. Much different picture north of Concord than in the southern part of the state.
People planning to ski on the new snow are thrilled.
We anticipate, I think, almost a foot of snow, but we're skiers, so we're really excited.
And the conditions are going to be great. We're going to get like a full foot of powder. It's going to be incredible.
While drivers are already planning detours.
I am hightailing it out, and I'm going to be in Boston and wait out the storm for a little while. I was going to be commuting back and forth, but obviously I decided against it.
Might be a good idea. Now, the DOT expects these plows to be out at least 12 to 18 hours and says even with hundreds of trucks in rotation, they are expecting some accumulation out on the interstates. Live in Hooksett tonight, Gene Mackin, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Man accused of having wives, 3 states arrested in Ohio after 4th woman comes forward. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Monica Hernandez.
For outraged in-laws, this is justice.
I mean, I think he's a monster. I really think he's a monster.
The family of 25-year-old Ashley Collins captured this cell phone video in Ohio as they watch the arrest of the man they say has caused their family so much pain.
She's devastated. I mean, she's heartbroken.
She's a mess. She doesn't know what to think. He lied to her.
Collins' family says she married Michael Middleton 2 years ago. Little did she know he's accused of having 3 other wives, including Alicia Grant of Exeter. The others live in Georgia and Alabama.
He finds their weakness, he finds their insecurities, and he plays on it, and then acts like he's some knight in shining armor and is going to give him the world.
Tiffany Collins says Middleton isolated her sister-in-law. She's glad a tip led to his arrest.
I think he preys on certain women that's been hurt, or women that just needs that reassurance, and then he plays whatever part they need and turns them against their family.
Prosecutors say Middleton probably has more wives. If that's the case, Collins' family is urging them to come forward.
It is embarrassing for all you women. It is. But to come clean, to get this man the penalty that he deserves, that he's ruined these women's lives, all of them, and their families.
Tonight, Middleton is still behind bars in Ohio, waiting to be extradited to New Hampshire.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Human remains found at pumping station determined to be fetus that was not viable. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Andy Hirschberger.
Well, Jen, an autopsy has revealed that those remains were a fetus and that the pregnancy loss was the result of a spontaneous natural miscarriage. The remains were found at a Conway pumping station, and officials believe the remains arrived there through the sewer. The state's associate medical examiner determined that the fetus had not taken a breath and was not viable. Officials say they still want to speak with the mother to make sure that she is safe. They say the investigation is still open and would like to talk with anyone who has any information. Reporting live, I'm Andy Hirschberger, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Family faces decision about donating embryos after convening through IVF. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Jennifer Crompton.
Instead of shoveling snow this season, get your own Kubota BX tractor with your choice of snow removal.
Twins Brielle and Brady just turned 1. For parents Jill and Dave, a dream come true after fertility issues put them on a 12-year journey to parenthood.
To be quite honest, it was surreal to me until they were in our arms in the hospital.
They had tried 4 different clinics and 10 cycles of in vitro fertilization. The cycle that finally resulted in the twins left them with 7 more viable embryos.
You knew how hard it was to get to that point, and you know that these embryos are a future life. We ended up with 2 beautiful children, and what do you do with these? It's not an easy decision.
Their attorney, Catherine Tucker, also has children born through IVF and wrote the surrogacy laws in New Hampshire.
It's really only been the past few years where the science has developed to the point where you can get more embryos from a cycle than a couple may reasonably use for their own family.
The new norm bolstered by advances in cryogenics.
Everything has changed now. The freezing techniques have improved so much that the expectation is that you can freeze embryos and that they're going to survive the thaw.
Being able to freeze embryos from one cycle to potentially have more children means not having to go through more IVF cycles, which can cost $15,000 to $20,000 each. Especially important since New Hampshire is not among the 16 states mandating infertility be covered by insurance. As for what to do with the extra frozen embryos if they don't plan to have more children, couples can have the embryos destroyed or donate them to research or to another infertile person or couple. Jill and Dave offered 3 of their extra embryos to a couple they'd met in a support group.
I want to say it was less than 24 hours before they reached back, and they were over the moon ecstatic.
Their lawyer wrote a contract to document intentions.
The intentions of the donors to not be parents and the intentions of the recipients to actually become the parents of this child that they're not genetically related to.
Dave says he's had friends ask him how they can do it.
One of them was like, "You're donating those?" And I said, "Yeah, why not?" She goes, "Those are your kids running around." I go, "No, that's not true. They may have my DNA, but they're not my children. And, I hope to give the joy to somebody else, and that's what it's all about."
Jill read from a letter sent by the grateful couple.
Thank you for putting your faith in us. Thank you for giving us a chance of completing our family. Thank you for changing our lives regardless of the outcome. Thank you for giving us hope when all hope seemed lost.
In Manchester, Jennifer Crompton, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. European markets open higher as U.S.-China trade talks continue. Congressional negotiations said they have reached a tentative deal on Monday that would avoid another U.S. government shutdown. In Europe, UK Prime Minister Theresa May will update lawmakers on the latest Brexit developments. Stocks in Europe moved higher Tuesday morning as investors mentioned trade and political developments. And here's a look at some of those stocks. As you can see, these three stocks here are in the green. Negotiations reach agreement in principle to avoid another government shutdown. The agreement comes 4 days ahead of the potential government shutdown. Emerging from a closed-door meeting late Monday night on Capitol Hill, the top four negotiators charged with hammering out a deal to avert another potential government shutdown announced, "We reach an agreement in principle." Details of the agreement has not been released, but congressional sources told ABC News that it includes $1.375 billion for physical barriers at the southern border. President Trump had requested more than $5 billion for his prized border wall. It's unclear at this point if Trump will accept this new deal. The tentative agreement comes just 4 days ahead of another partial government shutdown. And that did it for the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you back here later on today for another newscast. And I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Goodbye, everyone.